We are live here in Green Bay. It is Camp Week at 97.3 The Game. The entire station is here at a wonderful rental house just in the shadow of Lambeau Field. And today, the boys in green and gold are back on the practice field. Ray Nitschke Field on the backside of 1265 Lombardi Avenue. And it's our pleasure to welcome on into our house today, Andy Herman of Pack-A-Day Podcast. Hi, Andy. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. I was told there was going to be an omelet bar. There's no omelet bar, so
yeah.
Other than that, it's going great.
Yeah. And how does the house smell?
You know, I have no problem with that. I was hoping it was going to smell like omelets. It's just not smelling like omelets. That's the problem.
Yeah, there's that.
What would it take, Butchie, for me to contract somebody in a chef's outfit to actually be here one day to do the omelet bar? How much?
I think we could do it.
There's got to be a website where you can hire people on a gig by gig basis. Like I'll pay you $25 an hour for 4 hours.
Why don't you go explore OnlyFans? I've heard that's
$100.
one where you can figure it out.
Just say you're doing tryouts for an omelet. You want somebody to come in. People will come. They'll all show up, and then you can hire the best one.
How about this sexy omelet station?
Oh no.
A combination of OnlyFans
what's happening?
and omelets.
You can tell he's been in the house a little too long already. He's 2 days in.
Getting punchy. Okay. All right, so what are we expecting today in practice now that we turn the page into week 2 of Packers training camp?
Yeah, I think last week felt like clearly a ramp-up period, and then you had obviously Jordan Love gone for that first portion. They didn't get pads on until the weekend. So I think the defense won last week very clearly. Now it's Jordan's back. You know, we'll see if this number one offense can get clicking a little bit more, and it should just be, I think, a lot more competitive. We saw the competitive juices start coming out once those pads came on over the weekend. Should be a warm week, should be a fun week, and I think this is going to feel a lot more like the Packers training camp we were expecting now that Jordan Love's in camp. And we're going to get these two sides going against each other, and I think really ramped up this week.
Jeff Hafley said that he noticed that Rashawn Gary did not like the tempo and the tenor and the vibrance of the defense and actually called them aside to give them a what's what. He clearly is the leader on that side of the ball, right?
Yeah, so much that I liked about that. First, I love the fact that he goes up to Hafley just to make sure that he's okay to do it, which I think sometimes players can take things into their own hands without double checking that. So he does that first, and then Hafley's like, yeah, please get him going. Yeah, please do it. So he goes, gets the defense entirely fired up, and I think they raise their intensity after that. And there's zero question from an emotional leadership standpoint. There's a lot of leaders on that team. Xavier McKinney, clearly one of those, and there's a lot of guys in the secondary linebacker group, but Rashawn Gary's the emotional leader. He gets those guys fired up, and he has their back too. There was a little bit of a scuffle, and Matt LaFleur was talking to both sides, and Rashawn had no issues getting right up in LaFleur's face and giving it back. Like, he has his defense's back, and he's absolutely the emotional leader of that defense.
Hafley says it's going to be more man, more jamming, less shell. I guess I'll believe it when I see it, Andy, but I like what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I like what I'm hearing. I love even more what I'm seeing. I think the big thing here is we're seeing a ton of pressure up front. We're seeing everyone carry out their assignments. We're seeing great coverage in the defensive backfield, tons of communication, rallying to the football, energy. We're seeing, you can't win anything defensively here in July, but you can see all the indicators that you want to see. And that's all you really want so far. And that's what I'm excited about. There's one play in particular that I pointed out the other day. It was Sean Clifford, still a quarterback. So again, we have to take this with a little bit of a grain of salt, but he's running an elongated play action fake. And I've been saying, like, it feels like there's 13, 14 defenders on the field. In this play, they do play action. If it had been a run play, which they have to believe if it's going to be a play action, the run play was completely stuffed on the play. But Clifford bootlegs out, and Kingsley and Nigbari just waiting for him to sack him. And then they obviously in practice, you're not going to actually sack the quarterback. So they continue the play anyway. Clifford throws, Xavier McKinney steps up, picks it off, takes it the other way. So not only did they have the run covered, not only did they have the bootleg covered, they had everything covered downfield. Like, those are the sort of things that you want to see from this Jeff Hafley defense. And we're seeing it so far.
And when do we start talking about a backup the backup quarterback competition? Because at some point we're going to get into that in training camp. That's going to be the first was Jordan Love for the first week. That's great. Now we're going to have the backup quarterback competition. When does that start heating up?
Between who, Butchie? Clifford and
Michael Pratt?
Yeah, Pratt. Thank you.
Yeah.
Pratt.
So the funny thing is,
he's the 7th round pick, Mike.
7th round, Pratt, yeah.
Out of
Tulane.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing, so we asked Matt LaFleur, actually, I think I was the one who asked Matt LaFleur about Pratt at OTAs and mini camps, and he's just like, that guy's drinking through a fire hose right now is his literal quote of, and then you asked, somebody asked Steno about him yesterday, and like, he just had this, like, he almost had like this pause of like, how did he want to respond to this question? And it doesn't take much to read between the lines that Pratt is going through it as a rookie in this offense. There's clearly throws that he's making, the arm talent's there, but he's got a long way to go to understand the offense. At the same time, man, Sean Clifford's got to stop throwing interceptions, because a few things. One, your number one job is obviously to take care of the football. He has not done that at all. And it's one thing if you're, it's practice. Let's be a little bit more aggressive. Let's push the ball downfield. Let's take some chances. Okay, that's fine. But you have to have some reward to that risk. And there has been no completions down the field for Clifford. There's been no ability to move the offense with any consistency. And you're having all this risk, all these interceptions without any positives. And at some point, you got to at least ask some questions and be like, all right, can this guy be the backup going into the season? But to be clear, it's still very, very early.
By the way, I'm looking at the depth chart. So the third stringer is this kid, Jacob Eason, EASON.
Well, they just signed him kind of for an extra. When does he get released, I guess is the question.
I don't know, but here's the thing. Out of Washington, right? And my first thought was his dad Tony Eason, the former Patriot? No. His dad is Tony Eason. He did play quarterback, but not that Tony Eason. He's a different Tony Eason than the Tony Eason. What are the odds of that happening?
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Well,
but when does he get cut,
at
Andy? Because I mean, at some point he was brought in just to have the third arm when Jordan was going through the contract stuff. They're not having four.
But why do you care about this? Why do you care about backup quarterback? Why is this even on your radar screen?
Because it's training camp, and that's what we care about.
No, it's not. I don't care about it. If Jordan Love, God forbid, gets hurt,
it's done.
Got to be it's got to be Clifford until he can get
we're
back.
Done.
No, we're not done.
All right, then I do
get back.
All right, I do care about this though. Eric Stokes, how has he been so far? It's a big year for him. What has he done? What has he shown through the first week? Because that is a big part of this Packers defense, and kind of I think the question mark there.
Yeah, the first thing is I really thought that, like linebacker and safety and some of these in right guard, some of these rotations that were going to be going on, I thought Stokes and Valentine were going to be going back and forth and really competing. It has been Eric Stokes every single day as that number one corner, going all the way back to OTAs and minicamp as well. There's been no flinch there. The second thing I was looking at is he's had all these leg injuries and foot injury, like all this stuff, like his superpower is the 4.340 speed. If he doesn't have that anymore, he's an entirely different player, and he's going to have to rely more on technique, but he looks as fast as he ever has. Matt LaFleur has talked about how not only is he in the best shape physically, but he said this is the best mentally that he's seen Eric Stokes as well. I think we've seen that carry over on the field. There's been a couple of completions against him here and there, but he also had a 2 interception day at practice. And the big thing for me is I was really questioning is there a true pathway back to him being this first round pick, this starting corner, this player that we all expected him to be? And I'm not saying he's there yet, and it's going to take maybe a little bit of time to get there, but I absolutely see a pathway to him getting back to the way he was playing his rookie year, and hopefully even better than that. He looks fantastic. He's in great shape, and super excited from what I've seen from him so far.
Rookie Evan Williams, safety out of Oregon, got a little bit in trouble the other day. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, so I think it was Paul Brettel was asking him in the locker room about the kind of the safety play and Xavier McKinney, and Evan Williams was saying something to the effect of Xavier McKinney has the autonomy right at the right before the snap takes place to tell which safety is going to go up to the line of scrimmage and be in the box, or right at the second tier and be in the box, or who's going to stay back and play post safety. I don't know how much of that Matt LaFleur was actually upset about, but Paul then followed up with Matt about Xavier McKinney's autonomy back there, and Matt, I think somewhat in jest said, "Oh, I'm glad Evan's giving out our defensive secrets."
Right, with a wry smile, no, that's something we don't talk about. We don't want to talk about. Interesting, the kind of stuff you want to try to keep under wraps, because you're going to share practices in a couple weeks with the Ravens, right?
Yep.
And this is what all teams are doing now, more and more of these. They believe, I think most coaches, Andy, believe that the joint practices are better for them than the preseason games.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, first of all, you have your starters going against starters, which you don't really see in the preseason game. And number two, you can basically set up specific situations that you guarantee you want to see. So you want to run a bunch of red zone stuff, some 2-minute stuff. You want to run the new kickoff return drill and kickoff drill. Like, those are things that you can make sure happen in the course of a practice, where in a game you're basically bound by what actually happens in the game. And again, a lot of your key guys aren't out there anyway, because you don't want them to get hurt.
And they're pretty much full contact minus tackling to the ground, correct?
Yeah, kind of.
In the joint?
what we're seeing now is a lot of thuds,
Thudding.
so, you're allowed to, kind of get in there and we've seen a couple decent sized hits. We saw one from Bullard on Musgrave. We saw one from Nixon on AJ Dillon. We saw a huge collision with Emmanuel Wilson and Benny Sapp the other day. So there's definitely going to be some contact. And I'm sure once you get another team in there, that's probably going to pick up a little bit. But I know the big thing from both coaches is they just want everyone to come out of those practices healthy, most importantly. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of preaching on that.
Is there anybody who is in possible danger of not making the team? A name guy or somebody we've gotten to know in the last couple of years?
Yeah, a couple of players that I was certainly intrigued by. I was wondering if, with obviously Josh Jacobs on the roster, with Marshawn Lloyd being a third-round pick, and AJ Dillon, much of a guarantee at all. If Emmanuel Wilson came out and played great and Dillon didn't look like himself, I thought that would be one. But Dillon's looked fantastic so far, as everyone's been saying. He's absolutely in the best shape of his life. I know everyone's in the best shape of their life
Best shape of their season. Yep.
Dylan is definitely in a realistic category of that. This is obviously not like a huge name or anything, but I think the one that's a little bit intriguing to me right now is that number 6 potential wide receiver position. Malik Heath held that last year. Grant DuBose has had a really nice start to camp, and Heath's had a couple drops. He had one play where he lined up on the wrong side. So I think that potentially is one, but I don't know of any. I mean, you could say like a Royce Newman's been a name on the team for a while, some of these offensive linemen, but I don't think any household names are really any major danger.
Not a household name, but I got to believe that Samori Toure is on a real thin sheet right now because they have so many good wide receivers.
Yeah, he's probably wide receiver 8 at the moment. And,
right.
Sometimes you keep 5, sometimes you keep 6, maybe you keep 7, but he's probably going to need some injury luck in order to have an opportunity to really make it. And I'm sure they'll love to have him back on the practice squad, but some of those young wide receivers like a DuBose or a Toure, if you don't, or Malik Heath, if you don't make the 53, you might even it might be a benefit to go on somebody else's practice squad where you don't have 6 super young, super talented wide receivers that are on a 53-man roster ahead of you. So that'll be a tough conversation as well.
And then if the cuts fall right, then maybe Royce Newman, Josh.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be a shame. It'd be a shame if you had to find a different place of employment.
Jordan Morgan, their first-round pick at right guard. A, why is he over there? And B, what do they think about it?
Yeah, I think first of all, I've seen a lot of improvement from OTAs and training camp. When you see sometimes the rookie blaze in the eyes of some of these young players, you can literally see it. I thought he had it. I think they just try to do too much with him in OTAs and minicamp. They put him at 4 different spots. He played left tackle his entire time in college, and I think now they're just practicing him at one spot, which is a lot better. And I think they recognize Rashid's going to probably be the left tackle. I think that potential competition basically just died
between him and Rasheed Walker, who's currently penciled in as the number 1 left tackle.
Yeah, so I think it's just going to be Rasheed. Elton's going to be left guard. Josh Myers is going to be your center. Zach Tom's going to end up being your right tackle. So I think they recognized and realized if this guy has a chance to play from day one, it's probably going to be at right guard. Let's let him compete with Sean Ryan. They kind of echoed those sentiments yesterday with Steno up there. So he's right now competing at right guard. He's staying at one spot. Even when they need to move somebody over, they've moved Sean over and kept him at one spot. So it's looking better, and he's shown some flashes. Yeah, I think he went 2-0 in the one-on-one drill yesterday, but it's been better from him.
All right. I got one more name to throw out. And I'm going to put this in I'm ready for a big year from this guy named Lucas Van Ness. I'm ready for a big year.
He had a big day yesterday in practice, a couple sacks. It looked the best he's probably looked in a couple of years in practice.
Good. Let's go. Come on, guys.
Let's go.
Come on,
let's
guys.
go.
Let's go. Great little viral clip for this draft. Okay, well, there you go. Practice today, 10:30. We'll be out there. Andy, great to have you. We have a coupon for a free omelet. You can redeem later in the week. Where is that coupon, anybody? You know where that went?
I think we're still working on it.
Okay, we're working on it.
Get it clipped out. Send it my way.
All right, buddy. Thanks. Pack-A-Day Podcast. Make sure, download, subscribe. Nobody covers the Packers quite as well as Andy does. All right, coming up, we got Wayne in the building here, and we'll talk more Packers, broadcasting, life, and more. Wayno is coming by next. You're listening to the game. Hey, guys, if you live in Wisconsin and need a vehicle, there's only one place to go. Russ Darrow. 15 convenient locations for all of your vehicle needs. I am a Russ Darrow customer, and I am so happy I am, as is everyone here at the station. They lay it all out for you, and they say, look, here are your options. You can buy, you can lease, it can be new, it can be pre-owned. Whatever you're looking for, whatever price point, budget, the vehicle, they will find it and make you happy. That's what they do. Whether you're buying from them new with their live market pricing or used where they undergo a 110-point inspection on every vehicle, you're going to get a top-rate car, truck, SUV, minivan, or whatever that serves you and your family for years to come. Go to Darrow and discover the Darrow difference. You will not be disappointed. Start your search online today at russdarrow.com. Wayne's World. Wayne Larrivee joins us now, longtime voice of the Green Bay Packers, who was nice enough to drop by last night and just hang out with the fellas. Wayne, good morning, and thank you for coming out last night.
Nothing personal. I was just looking for a free beer.
And
I got a few.
And you got, by the way, more free beers tonight.
But
actually, we're going out to a local joint.
We're going out to Sammy's.
Sammy.
For pizza and draft beer. Yeah.
Love it.
You're going to love it. It's good stuff.
Yeah, I was saying earlier to Butchie, who was not here last night, or Josh, who's manning the home front, just how much I enjoyed last night. I said, you got you with your incredible background and career and knowledge base, Drew, who's covered baseball for so long, Mike Heller knows everything about Wisconsin. We were just here having a wonderful
It was fun
talk, just, comparing notes and sharing, our experiences. It's good stuff.
I got to tell you something. This, whole frat house experience that you guys go through and that we all go through as a group, this is really good. And, it's good for, and we talk about this in team sports all the time, the dynamic of chemistry.
Yeah.
And, I think it's important, not just in sports, but in any walk of life, especially any business. And, I think things like this, and you guys go to Sunburn Bowl 6 coming up. But I mean, I think those experiences that you guys have as a group, that does transmit to the air. It may be very subtle, maybe something you don't notice or that we don't notice, but it's something that is a part of what makes, I think, this station as a whole, what it is.
Because our listeners listen to multiple shows or all the shows.
Oh, yeah.
On the station. So it's good that we get along. And as you know, Brian Butch, men have egos.
No.
It's just in. Yes, indeed. In whatever they do in life, whether it's sports or broadcasting or bricklaying, I make the best wall out there. You watch
I do. I mean,
very competitive.
Here's the thing. It happens at a young age. What did my son say to you up at the cottage?
Oh, this is crazy. So I'm at Butchie's cottage. I got a boat ride this weekend. And his son, Blake, is just a relentless firecracker of a young boy who's just getting after it in life. And he comes up to me and he's like, I caught a fish that was the biggest fish on the lake. Because he did catch a bass.
He did catch a big one.
That was like an 11-inch largemouth, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
And I said, well, way to go. I said, I'll have to come fishing with you one day. And he goes, I will outfish you. I will catch bigger fish. And I'm like, whoa, bro, we're not a competition here.
You bro, Blake.
Now, how old is he? Is he 7?
He's 4. He's 4.
Oh my God! Wow.
Yeah. He was letting me
put
know.
you in your place. He goes, no,
He
this is my
body
lake.
bagged me. I know, in no uncertain terms.
These young kids are bringing it. My 7-year-old grandson's the same way.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Good.
These kids are bringing it. Well, I don't know what we call that generation, but whatever it is, they're bringing fire.
You
talked about, the absolute essential ingredient of teamwork and chemistry. Earlier this morning, Butchie was going on and on about how much he enjoyed the gymnastics last night with the men's team coming back to win bronze medal. And you asked Butchie off the air, why do the Olympics get me the way that they do?
Oh, yeah.
Every 4 years. I have my answer for it, and I'd like to hear Wayne's answer for it, but I think it's very simple in that these athletes toil in obscurity for 4 years at their craft, a craft that is often minute or non-essential or even downright silly. And then they have their one moment to shine. And can they do it in that moment? It is a pure devotion to archery or fencing or synchronized swimming.
Sure.
And this is their moment. That's why it gets you.
I just, it's amazing. And Butchie, I don't know how much gymnastics you watch on a regular basis.
Zero.
Almost none.
Right.
Zero. My wife will watch it occasionally, but not like this. Like I was dialed in last night.
I don't know why, but we're like this with the skating in the Winter Olympics. You know what I mean?
Similar
and women's
vibes.
Figure skating. And it's just like every 4 years, we don't watch any of it up until the Olympics, but every 4 years. And, you see these skaters out there, and some of them are 16, 17, 18 years old. This is their whole life, and this is their moment. And you start rooting for them like fall.
Please don't fall.
Double axle.
Please don't fall. Oh my
I mean,
God.
yeah, it's so. Yeah, and I think that can be said about that's what makes the Olympics special. Yeah, in my opinion, that's what it's all about. And you're exactly right. I mean, these kids, they toil and this is what they do. Nobody cares for the most part outside of their group, and maybe that's okay. But boy, when they get to the Olympic stage, and it's tremendous just to be named to the Olympic team. That's
it's
one
hard
thing.
to get there.
Okay, that's one thing. So you've got that the rest of your life. But then if you medal, that goes
For
way
life.
beyond that.
Yeah, you have a medal for life.
You're a medal winner.
So what did you like the most, Butchie, about the men's gymnastics?
Oh, it was the camaraderie. Those five
Yeah.
guys were locked in, and they cheered so hard for each other. And like the way that they celebrated when they finally got bronze, and again, it's bronze, but they haven't medaled in 16 years.
Yeah.
And the enjoyment that they had for one another in an individual sport, kind of like, even though it's a team sport, you have, the specialist, what he was able to do, like they all had to do their own thing, but they had to do it together. And the cheering they had for each other, and you don't watch men's gymnastics like women's gymnastics. Everybody knows who's on the women's gymnastics team, like they do. The men's gymnastics team, they don't get nearly enough coverage or talked about. But last night they did.
Yeah.
Last night they were the stars. And I have loved the primetime coverage of the Olympics. Yes, you know who wins. Yes, you know how it worked out. But watching it, I think NBC's done a fantastic job of putting it together. And at night, like, I know you guys were watching the Brewer game. I didn't. Shame on me, I know. But, like, I was dialed into watching those Olympics. I couldn't turn it off.
How about this photo of Brody Malone, Wayne, after his routine high-fiving a teammate?
Yeah.
Look at the arms.
I know.
Him.
How about that? Yeah.
I mean, holy cow. And this is a kid who completely shattered his knee on a trick doing gymnastics. Had a bunch of plates and stuff put in it. Had to teach himself how to walk again. He comes from a family that owns horses on a farm. So he was riding horses as therapy. He screwed up his own individual event, on the way to this, but at least he found it for the team event. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
Well, and you should have seen afterwards on NBC, they had a moment when he was able to find his dad afterwards. So they won the bronze medal. They did all the media. Probably was 3 or 4 hours afterwards. And you could see him walking out of the event. And all of a sudden, all the parents were there. And he had the moment with his dad. And his dad, like you said, raised horse, like a cowboy type guy, an old school guy. And again, why don't you they said during it, why don't
you reminded me of Sam
emotions?
Watterson.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. And they're like, why don't you show emotions? Because my dad's in the NBC coverage of it. He goes, my dad says, I don't need to show emotions. You just have to do what you do really well and keep working. And I was like, I can relate with this guy.
See,
and
that's
the embrace
your kind of guy. Keep working.
Yep. And the embrace between him and his old man. And that old man grabbed that bronze medal, looked at that thing, and you could just see how proud he was of his boy. Like, it was awesome. I'm sorry. But it's
If it was Ricky Bobby's dad, he would take the bronze medal and chuck it into the trash. Say, this is not the loser I raised my son to be.
Oh, gosh. No, it's great stuff. And I think the networks, it started with ABC decades ago, the way they covered the Olympics and built the stories around these athletes that got you into them and got you almost personal with them. NBC does the same thing.
Rune Arledge
was the genius.
The driving force as the executive producer of the Olympics to say, look, the competitions are one thing. It's about the stories of how these athletes got here.
Yeah.
Tell the story.
That's the deal. Yeah, exactly. And that's what gets you emotionally invested in this stuff. It does. And it's like you said, I mean, you're probably not going to watch men's gymnastics for another 4 years after this. But boy, you were tuned in last night.
So you never called any Olympics?
No.
Would you if you had the chance?
Yeah, I would. But I was always working basketball during the winter. I was not really, I wasn't into getting there to
what
do
if
that.
What if they said, okay, Wayne, we could use you, but it's for rowing?
Oh, I would do it.
You would do rowing?
Oh, yeah.
Would you do fencing?
I don't know, because that would be a hard learn for me.
What sport would you love to do? Like, if you got to pick the sport?
Basketball.
Yeah, basketball would be the one. But in the Winter Olympics, I'd love to do the downhill.
Yeah, because you're a skier.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think Dan Hicks does a tremendous job in the pool with the swimming. I think that's a lot of fun, too.
Do you know Dan?
I knew him a long time ago. Early in his career, when I was in Chicago, he was starting out and he was doing the Bears preseason games with Dan Hampton at the time. And so this guy has to go back to the early 90s, I want to say. But, yeah, good guy. And his wife, Hannah Storm, is one of the main anchors during the day at
lovely
ESPN.
And talented. Yeah, it's great. Franz Klammer, 1976, Wayne. I'm sure you remember it, at Innsbruck, one of the great downhill runs of all time. Do you remember watching this? I, as a kid, as an 8-year-old boy, was watching this, where it's like, he's behind. He's ahead of time at the split. It was Jim McKay calling it, I believe, because he called everything basically. But, yeah. YouTube has it, very grainy footage, as Franz Klammer, the Austrian Butchie, in his yellow banana suit, just barreling down the hill. Amazing stuff.
Do you think you could fit into any of those outfits that any of the Olympians fit into?
Yeah, they make him in large. But
they're too tight.
Like a fat man in a lycra suit.
Fit into it.
It's kind of like a sausage, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. They make skins for all sizes. Yeah.
I mean,
it wouldn't look pretty, but I'd be in it. Yeah.
You might be bursting at the seams a little. Like once in a while you get a piece of a sausage and it's kind of bursting out of its shell there. That's kind of what it would be like, Butchie, for us.
So I put out a joke tweet, and nobody really got the joke about how in the archery competition, I know the archery competition came down to a judge with a magnifying glass because it was a one-shot playoff for the gold. And the arrow had landed right on the thin line dividing the 9 circle and the 10-point circle. And so they had to take the actual target off the mount, put it on a table, and the judge is up there with a magnifying glass. And my tweet was, Josh, replay ruins everything, including archery. And people didn't get my joke as a noted anti-replay because I know that it's not replay, but it was one of those things where we got to get it minutely correct. People are going, what do you want to do? Just guess? This is not replay. This is just a judge looking at it closely. And I'm like, okay, settle down. It was a joke, everybody.
Weird. The internet took something out of context.
But I did watch fencing. And fencing, Wayne, has replay on nearly every point. I guess that's what they call scoring something in fencing. I guess it's called a point. It's where you poke the other guy with the tip of your épée before they tip you. They're so quick now. And then each time, one of the guys in the fencing gold medal between Italy and Hong Kong would rip his face mask off and celebrate like, I won. And then they would go to the monitors because it's so quick. And for like 3 times in a row, they said, no, it was simultaneous doinking.
Simultaneous
doinking of each other with their swords. Redo the final point.
Oh, my goodness.
And it went on and on. And in this one case, Josh, I am not anti-replay.
Simultaneous doinking.
Yes. In this one case, I am not anti-replay. You know why? You can't see otherwise.
Right. It's necessary.
It's too fast to even see it.
Amazing.
But yeah, this is the Olympics. We get to watch these obscure sports. Okay. Anything with the Packers that is noodling in your brain this morning as they get set to take the field again today?
This is going to be a good old-fashioned hot in pads, if they're in pads, humid practice. This is the kind of stuff that back in the 80s, this was a 2-a-day day.
Yes.
They'd practice in the morning, they'd get lunch, and they'd come back in the afternoon for more. And obviously you can't do that. That's cruel and inhumane treatment.
Right.
But it used to be the norm at training camp. And a day like today reminds me of those training camps I used to go to, in Kansas City at William Jewell College with Marv Levy running it. And the thing about the practice facility there, William Jewell College is a place just north of Kansas City in Liberty, Missouri. And the thing that Hank Stram picked it out, he said the thing he loved about it was all their practice fields were down below in a valley. all the dorms, everything was upstairs. So after the long practice, you had to walk all the way back up the hill to get to the locker room in your dorm. And that was just what he loved about it. And the Chiefs are there, and I'll remember that. I remember the coaches. Late night, I'd be staying in training camp with them, and the coaches at about 10 o'clock after all the meetings, they take the bacon grease from the morning, pour popcorn into it, popcorn that night. And it was the best popcorn you've ever had in your life.
Oh, my God.
Bacon grease.
Bacon grease popcorn.
Those guys knew how to live.
Wow.
Of course, they didn't live as long as
Right.
you'd like to,
Yeah,
but
right.
they knew how to live.
Okay, so when did the Packers bring their operation back in-house from the days at St. Norbert and then before that in Platteville, right? Or did the Bears train in Platteville?
The Bears trained in
I think the
Platteville.
Bear-
Okay.
Yeah, they were training in Platteville. The Packers under Curly Lambeau, as I understand it, used to train up in Door County at a lodge up there.
Well, the Packers were at
the
St.
Packers
Norbert.
used to stay at St. Norbert's. That, I believe, started under Lombardi
Right.
and went all the way through McCarthy. And I think Matt LaFleur changed it a little bit
Ended
with
it?
COVID, and that
Oh,
kind of
the
ended.
COVID year ended.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that kind of ended it. And
Do you
now,
think anything is missing from that?
I don't know. I mean, it's so different today. Today's athletes are so different. But I always thought that was kind of cool because the players got to hang out. St. Norbert College is a beautiful little campus, and they used to stay in Sensenbrenner Hall. And some of the greatest Packers teams ever stayed there all summer. And I think you get something out of that. But Matt said the other day they're staying in a hotel now.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, so
Okay.
there's that bonding that comes with being at training
And
camp.
keeping the home distractions or drama sometimes,
Yeah.
sick kid, or the wife said you got to take your I don't know, pick a hobby out of the living room.
Josh, you don't know anything about life distractions right now.
Not
do
at
you?
all.
You're good,
None.
right? Yeah.
I got no
Josh
clue.
wishes he could stay at a hotel.
That'd be great.
Not only do they used to have 2-a-days, Wayne. I remember they used to have some teams had 3-a-days.
Really?
They'd have a
That's one
special-
more.
one more a day. They would have 2 regular practices, full thump, full pads.
Yeah.
And a special teams practice mixed in as well for 3-a-days. And this was part of an NFL that had 6 preseason games, 14 regular season games, all the way until 1978. They're finally smartening up to realize
Exactly.
this is too much.
I don't care what they say about an 18th game. They used to abuse players more
Yeah,
in those
way more.
days than they will with an 18-game schedule. Everybody
Yes.
complaining about, they're just abusing the player. No. Abuse happened decades ago, folks, and most of you don't remember it or never witnessed it, but it was something else.
Watch the football life on the 99 Rams with Dick Vermeil and how they got it done. They admitted that Vermeil's first year in St. Louis, way too hard on the players. Players came to him in a meeting and said, "You're killing us, coach."
Yeah.
And he did some soul searching and said, "You know what? They're right." Backed off. Then Trent Green goes down. Kurt Warner steps in. Vermeil says tearfully in August, "Kurt's our quarterback and he's going to play good football." And everyone thought, "You're crazy. You're on your way to 3 wins." Next thing you know, confetti falling in the Super Bowl. One of the greatest stories ever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
That's right.
Wayne, we will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks for coming by.
I've got homework to do on a banger, right?
Another coupon for an omelet. Sorry about that. Actually, no, this is a coupon for a free Peps. Oh, they're dead to us.
They're
Sorry.
dead.
Different pizza place. We're at Palermo's house, right, Butchie?
Yes, I'll
Palermo's
bring some
omelet.
up today.
All right, coming up. Butchie, your banger. Be ready to deliver. Final segment coming up next. Czabe and Butch in the morning on the game.
Nothing really matters.